Hi guys, welcome to the Urban Homestead. Today we're going to discuss use and maintenance of oil lamps. I use these in my home on a regular basis. I haven't burned down my house yet. I know it can seem intimidating to use things that require open flame, some sort of flammable liquid, but trust me, it is all good. Okay, so our first step to maintaining our oil lamps is to give them a good clean. I do that with cleaning vinegar and a rag. Super simple, super basic. As you can see, some of these haven't been used in a while. They even have some cobwebs, but that's okay. We're gonna get them all cleaned up and I'll show you how to use them safely and productively. Of your room. So I'm going to fill this lamp with some oil. This is a paraffin-based lamp oil that you can pick up at any hardware store. So when you fill it, you don't want to fill over 90%. And personally, I have more success if I fill it to about 70. So this is where I'm going to fill it to today. Put this back on. Just a side note about the wick here. You want to make sure it's fully submerged into your oil and has that kind of coil at the bottom. So once you've secured the chimney back on your lamp, you can go on to the next step. So these are what replacement wicks look like for lanterns. And you can see these ones are $1 at Army and Navy. That's a pretty good deal. The wick does last a while. I will post some follow-up videos of some pins that I've found for making your own wick in a pinch, and I'll do some test runs to see which one kind of burns the longest, that sort of thing. So using this dial, you can move the wick up and down. So in reality, what you want to do is trim your wick so that it kind of has a little bit of a V shape. This kind of helps direct the smoke when you first start it. Smoke is completely normal. So what you don't want to do though is crank up your wick full tilt, put your glass chimney on, if you're in a room that isn't as warm as the flame and the oil are going to make it. So natural environment here. So if you move something warmer to something in a cooler environment, it'll create kind of steam and smoke. So you have to be careful that your wick isn't too high when you put your glass dome back on. Okay, so smoke, normal. So what I'm going to do, after the wick has soaked an hour in the oil, if it's a brand new wick and is able to pull up to the top, I'm going to pull it down just to where I can light it. Okay, now I'm going to let it burn off for a sec, because as you can see, the smoke, which I said is completely normal. Pull it down a bit. What you really want is a kind of when you first light it, a bit of a calmer flame. So once that tones down a sec, I'll put the glass dome back on, and then I'll show you how to adjust your light and to reduce your smoke. So it's all in kind of playing with this. So once this has good charred ends, some of the smoking should stop, and then you can put the dome on. Okay. Good. So as you can see, the smoking has stopped. I've lowered the wick down a little bit into the chimney. So this is how you adjust your light. It's a dial that moves up and down. So before you adjust your light to be more bright or a larger flame, you have to let the glass warm up a little bit. If you crank it full volume, you'll right away get soot, and it can also cause your glass dome to crack. So that's just kind of general maintenance on an oil lamp. As I said, we use these all the time on the Urban Homestead for ambiance, lighting on our patio, camping. Okay, so the last thing we're going to go through today is how to safely put out your oil lamp and how to store it. So the easiest method to put it out is to lower the wick and kind of let it dampen itself. So because the wick hasn't been burning a bunch, it's not going out the whole way. So what you can do is you cup your hands over the top and give it a quick puff of air, and it's out. So before you touch this, or the glass dome, or store it away in a cupboard, you need to make sure the glass cools completely, just for fire prevention and just your own safety. So don't touch this dome because you can burn your hands, but as you can see, it's super easy to maintain these, and I think a lot of people are afraid to use antiques and vintage things because they think that there's some sort of risk associated. That's not accurate. These things were built to last, and not only as a beautiful decoration, but as something that you can use in your everyday life.